Greetings and welcome back to TaleSpire. My name is Aaron with Nordic Forge Games, and today we're delving into dungeon design and planning. But before we get started, I want to show you a little bit of my pre-planning with what I sketched out for the idea for today's video. And this is it. I know it looks very crude and weird, but let me walk you through it a little bit to show you how easy it is for you to plan, how quick it is for you to plan, and that way when you get into TaleSpire, we have a map of where we're starting, where we're going. That way there's no confusing twists and turns, and we can worry about the whole fun and creativity of it all. And all this started with a general idea, a loose story, a location you want to check out or recreate in TaleSpire. And for me, it's a series of ruins that are connected to a small cavern with water feature, fog, and elevation. So the first section here, the highest point in the game where the players enter, is going to be ruins. We have this sort of arrow here that says slope down. So we have a curve that slopes downward, maybe even stairs, to our second level elevation. And this is where the players aren't immediately entered into combat. They're given time to loot, check out any story elements, and explore the area. Now, also at elevation 2, we have this sort of like little underwater pond or lake. And I put this at elevation 4, which means it's our lowest elevation, because we know the water has to be adjusted for your entire board. They're going to have to swim under this water and through a secret passageway to get into our next area. And this next area is going to be elevation 3, the second lowest, but still low enough that we can raise the fog level of the board to create a really scary, spooky zombie combat encounter through here. And then after this combat encounter, we have another sort of twisty cavern hallway, but this one slopes back up, and that leads them up into the final fight room. And the exit, of course, is blocked by our final fight. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's just hordes and hordes of these zombie creatures, maybe they're coming out of the walls, but we're going to have some sort of final fight room, and that's going to be back at elevation 1. The other thing I tried to keep in mind was, in TaleSpire, if you start to stack a lot of things on top of each other, even at different elevations, it can get a little bit confusing for the players to navigate through. So I wanted from the top down, regardless of elevation, for us to be able to see the entire map. And that's really it. I think it's going to be fun and easy to construct this dungeon, but we have to start with a little bit of planning. So that's really it for our initial concept. Not too complicated. I wanted something really basic, but also be able to share with you when we're finished. So take just a little bit extra time, sketch down a really loose and wild layout for your dungeon, and then we can start hopping in. So I've come over here so we have plenty of extra room away from our previous creations and our tutorials, and we're actually going to get rid of our water right now because that was our last video. We are going to utilize water in this video, but we're going to start building without it, and then we're going to bring that water level up. Which reminds me, if you haven't checked out all the previous Nordic Forge TaleSpire guide videos or tutorials, go check them out. Our last video was really fun with tons of interaction on that video. Thank you guys again for the support. And we've already got a really tight, awesome, fun, active community, which I love. And if this is your first time here and you want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps me. It helps get the video out there for other people that are also interested. All right, enough chit chat, guys. Thanks again. Let's get started on construction of our new dungeon map today. So just like in our previous videos, I want to start with our highest point and our lowest point. I want to start with that and find our highest point. And we can raise this little white slider on the right. And I want to have some pretty intense verticality. And I want plenty of room to work with. So I feel like that's a good large distance we can cover with our hallways and other rooms. So that's where we're going to start. So this area will be where the ruins are that we begin in. And on the drawing, it's kind of a long rectangle with the cavern on the other end. So I'm just going to start building. I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to direction or anything yet. We just need to start the process. Ooh, yeah, I like how that looks a lot. Again, the smaller details we'll worry about later, but I want to just get the vibe of it. Get the idea of what our players are going to be walking into. All right, so we will revisit this later. That's one of our crucial things. This is probably going to be a multiple video series as we move through and finish this, but I want to get the main layout done. So that means instead of spending a lot of time here, I want to go ahead and move on to our cavern section so that I can go ahead and see the map as a whole before we start adding a lot of embellishments and details. I know our caverns start to slope down very quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and add some stairs here. And I'm thinking about how this is going to look for my players, being able to see stairs going down. And I haven't played with the cavern tiles much, so I'm kind of excited about it. And I just want to see how those look lined up here. Our main entrance on this side, and then the entryway into the caverns here. This ruin is sort of built in the side of a mountain, so the caverns themselves are butted up against this wall. And so the main area is sloped down to a lower section. So I want to go ahead and start looking at how we can step this path down. Using the cavern tiles is challenging, especially when you're moving down in an organic way. So this is going to need a lot of cleanup, but I'm starting to like where it's going. All right, so here will be our second room, the big sort of no way out. Are we trapped down here? Loot exploration. So I want to build this area nice and big. Roughing in the shape, and I'm also trying to think about where that secret passageway is going to connect back up here, probably through a floor piece or something. Quick and dirty floor. Just get it in here. And so now we're going to start looking at adding the water that our players are going to have to swim through to get into the sort of foggy zombie hallway. And this water section has to be our lowest elevation, so it's going to be really deep because we need to come back up above it for our fog section. I'm going to use our rock tiles under the water, block in the little tunnel that goes through here. Keep in mind the water is going to be up pretty high. Let's get an idea of where the water level is going to be so that we can make sure our hallway for the fog is up above that. We have to get this hallway up pretty quick. And so to do that, I think we may utilize a ladder or something, and we may go into more of a ruined hallway instead of a cavern so that we can have those hard corners the zombies are hiding behind. Okay, so to change up our tile set, I think I may jump over to our dungeon tiles for this hallway. Feels like a good mixture between the cavern set and the ruin set. Since I haven't really messed with our ambient effects, we're just trying to build the dungeon now, do the layout, the planning, so that we can really refine it and knock it out of the park later. And I think I'm going to build it slightly different. I'm also realizing that this section is higher than this section, so our fog is a little bit off. And even though we planned, we still run into issues like that. So there we go. So maybe we have some initial enemies, and then we can have other enemies tucked back in these little alcoves. Maybe we have some traps or something along the way as well. So I'm already going to start thinking about getting back up to level 1, maybe even a little bit higher. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that up there just as a reference point for where our exit will be. And to utilize some more of my assets, I'm going to copy this section here, try to use it in the same way here. I do want to make it a little bit tighter, mess around with this a little more. We still do have to remember our secret passageway here we have to work on. And then there is this section here, which is kind of neat. We may want to put a secret room with some loot or something there, maybe a hidden door. So as you're building, try to fill holes in your design with something interesting. Instead of a tunnel, I opted to have like a hidden doorway up here or hatch. We're going to mess around with hiding some of this stuff in a future video. We have our exit sort of formed here, tight turns and exits back into a building. Basically just a copy of this to give me an idea of where it should go. And then we're going to make this one different and independent. That way we have some variation. So I think we're going to make this a secret entrance here. And here maybe there's some sort of treasure hoard or, something exciting. And we will have this area covered again. All right, here we are. So this is our full layout. So this ended up being the more misty section of the dungeon. And instead of a tunnel that wraps around, we actually just have a secret door connecting these two areas in case our players want to go back through that collapsed corridor. We have our water feature with our secret underwater passageway to the hallway where our combat encounters are going to begin. We have a tighter, more escape tunnel and back into a ruin in which our players can exit. Overall, I'm really happy where we're going. A lot of times this is the gritty, dirty phase where you have to lay out the dungeon, plan it out, design it. So sometimes it can be hard for you to see your end product at this phase. But just remember where we're going to be eventually. We're going to be adding monsters, decorations, lighting, more ambience, music, sound effects. All right, well, that does it for this video. Hopefully you guys are following along with me, making your own dungeon. Hopefully you've learned a few things, how to create some interesting spaces for your players to explore and interact with. And laying down a strong foundation is going to be key as we move forward. And I just want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave me a comment. Let me know if you like the video, if there's anything you need help with or that I can address in the next video as we continue outfitting and building up this dungeon and getting it ready for play. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Be sure to go back and check out all of my previous videos. We're still sort of learning the fundamentals and building on top of those with each video. I'd also love to have you as a subscriber, so make sure to hit that button so you can stay up to date on all the stuff that I've got going on. Check out the links in the description. We've got a Discord, we've got a Twitter, all of that awesome stuff. And stay tuned because we're just getting started. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Keep being awesome, keep building awesome things, and until we meet again.